education,
society,
human development. We were very intentional when we were thinking about why we were naming this major education, society, and human development. We really wanted to think about the diverse viewpoints and interests of the faculty that we have here in the School of Education, the vision that we have for how this major is going to move forward, and what we have to offer students as they grow into the professionals that they're going to become.
When we think about what makes the School of Education different than all the other disciplines, right, is that in the School of Ed, not only are we learning how people learn or how people teach, but we're also teaching skills that go way beyond any other discipline.
If you've never thought about your education before, this is a place to start to do that, to start to interrogate and question business as usual.
You're going to take classes that are going to really question a lot of the realities that you thought you knew in terms of your own educational experience.
What's going on with the student and how can we understand the system around them? Are we as adults creating a system that's going to be supportive of that kid? Are we providing a safe and exciting place for that student to grow and learn?
So often we never even take a minute to pause and think about, what are we learning? How does this work, right? How are we organized? What does it mean when we have different types of teachers? In the School of Education, we think about policy. We think about law, right? We think about history, race, language, all of these different pieces that necessarily inform what happened in the classroom.
I think about one of the courses that I teach, which really has us think about how some of these inequities or inequalities in education actually came to exist. Why and where did this come from that we thought that this is the way it had to be?
A lot of our students never think about the school board at the K-12 level or the Board of Regents, right, at the higher education level. They don't think about policy actors and how they inform the education spaces. All of my colleagues have different lenses through which they view these things. And so depending on the class that you take, right, you're going to get a different taste and a different piece of that. And I think that that is something that's unmatched.
I want students to know that it's okay not to know what you want to do when you get here. There's so many ways to support educational experiences for kids.
Too often we default to thinking it's only a teacher. There are also these other positions that you can have, other ways in which you can affect change.
And you can do that as a policy analyst, understanding that there are so many important ways that policy and education code and law and societal issues impact very, very directly what happens in education.
There's also research. So when you think about changing the world, research happens first to say, how can we improve practice? How do we improve what's happening in the classroom?
As a school psychologist, what I really think about is the breadth of students we have in our school, that folks learn differently, they develop differently socially and emotionally and behaviorally, and how do we make sure that we are serving every student in our school?
Oftentimes we have folks who might go into politics and go on to be on the board.
One of the most influential and impactful positions in our government is on the school board, because those are the people that kind of define what it is that is going to be addressed in education. What are the things that are going to be even, taught? What are the things that are even going to be talked about or not talked about?
General educators, special educators, district administrators, school counselors. There's so many different ways to help. And I think such a big formative part of a university experience is figuring that out. From the day the student comes into the SOE, I want that student to feel supported. I want that student to feel like part of a community. And I want that student, by the end of their time here, to have figured out and to have learned about all the different ways they can help and to have a better sense of what that looks like. I think that one of the most amazing things you can get from your degree, from a degree in education, society, and human development, is that confidence that you can make a difference.
They have this foundation, they're going to go out and they can change the world. I think that, oftentimes people think that's something that's hyperbole, but it's not, because when you change one person's life, you literally are changing their world. You don't have to have 1 million people in your class. You have 30 at a time. They then go out and exponentially impact the world, and I think that that's really important. So I want them to be bold.
My biggest hope when my students graduate from here is actually very personal to me, because in the past, I have had certain educators or professors who have doubted me or told me I couldn't do certain things. And I'm one of those personalities where if you tell me I can't do something, I'm just gonna prove you wrong. And I'm just gonna try harder and figure out how to navigate that. But I'm more worried about those kids who they hear that message and then they internalize it and believe it. And so I want anybody who goes through my classroom and graduates in 4 years from my class to see the value and benefit of every single child. And always, whenever the kid says, I want to do this, say, I believe that you can. Because that kid will internalize that and will become whatever we perceive that they can become.
To graduate with a degree in education, society, human development, and to be able to say, I have a sense of where I could fit, right? Where I could contribute the most. That's really where we want to be. That's what I want to give. And that's the kind of program I want to have.